Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening. I'm Oberon.
And I'm Ariel.
And this
is
our
show. I wanted to tell our audience who's listening in that if you're near your computer now, if you could go to Michael's website. But there's a picture, if you click on the books tab, there's a picture of one of the two books we're talking about, The Emancipation of Giles Corey. It's about a woman who went through the Salem witchcraft trials, and she's now reincarnated into modern times, and she's got unfinished business. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Which most of us do on this planet.
Yeah, and it's just wonderful. It's just a wonderful story. I mean, from page one, you're just really enraptured. I was, anyway.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
What was your inspiration for that?
Well, gosh, it's hard to just pick one. But Emancipation took 8 years, and it unfolded in huge chunks. It was a real cathartic journey for me. And I was really driven to present a different angle to the tragedy of the witch trials of 1692. One that would eventually lead to healing, and most importantly, to spur thinking people to take more active roles in self-governance and the governance of our communities. So very important in our world. In some ways, it is a magical tale, definitely, of soul retrieval and integration and power. But it is also about the First Amendment, about everybody's responsibility, about rising to the challenge of our world today. As it changes, we must change, and we must carry the burden and responsibility. And Spirit didn't give me much choice about finishing the book, but as soon as it was published, I wasn't surprised that the Arab Spring began. So the message is very timely for both books.
That's fascinating because the previous very famous version of the treatment of the Salem witch trials, of course, was the Cauldron, the Crucible. The Crucible.
Yes.
Arthur Miller's play.
Yeah, by Arthur Miller, right? And that was done to make the issues of to put in perspective the McCarthy era and say that this is the same thing again. So it's interesting that such an event continues to find resonance in our times. It's in some sense, it's appalling. We need to continue being reminded of it.
Well, I think it's our responsibility to be reminded of it, Oberon. I really do, because it's the foundation of our country. It's the foundation of how we live our lives on an everyday basis.
The appalling thing is we keep having these sorts of things recur. We would think that once those lessons would be burned into our collective consciousness as intensely as they were, that we wouldn't have to keep revisiting them. That we would have finally got it.
Yeah, I would think. I would hope, but that isn't the case.
No,
humans are creatures of habit. And we revisit what we know. And unfortunately, as evolving humans, violence, isolation, and segregation, we know all too well.
We do. And unfortunately, the fear and hatred of those who are different, it continues to be a problem that is plaguing us. It's one of those crucial things.
So, Michael, some have said you fashioned the hero of The Emancipation of Giles Corey, Sophie St. Cloud, after yourself. Is that true?
Well, I have to laugh at that. Working as a shamanic practitioner for many years definitely gave me the tools and language that were necessary to produce a work like Emancipation. A work of historical fiction is really trying, and it had to be magically accurate. So my background really lent to that. And I'll tell you, Sophie St. Cloud is one badass woman. And if people want to attribute me to her, by all means do. I'm quite flattered. But on my better days, Sophie represents only the best of my potential. Like I say, she was one badass gal. And I really hope that her career's not over. I hope it's the beginning. Because as a reincarnationist, I have an endless stock of stories